Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the regular meeting of the Planning Commission, Tuesday, August 23rd, 2022. I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order at 6 p.m. Can I have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Cook?
Present.
Commissioner Wagstaff?
Present.
Commissioner Grant?
Present.
Vice Chair Nindell?
Present.
Chair Duffel?
Present. Thank you. I've asked Commissioner Cook to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance this evening. Commissioner Cook.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner Cook. Thank you, everyone. At this time, we will make a recommendation, or not a recommendation, we will make an approval to approve the agenda. May I have a motion, please?
Sure, I'll make the motion to approve the agenda.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Grant. May we have a second?
Second.
Okay, Commission, if you'll notice, there is some buttons on the screen here for motioning first and second on your votes. If you would please use those buttons. Commissioner Cook, I believe you seconded that motion.
Yes.
There is, on your right screen, there is a button that says second.
Oh. Okay.
Fantastic. All those in favor, go ahead and select.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you very much. Apologize for the stumbling. We're getting used to using the system for the first time this evening. We will now move on to the public comments. At this time, pursuant to the Brown Act, any person may comment on matters of general interest within the subject matter jurisdiction of the Planning Commission not listed on the agenda. Under the Brown Act, the Planning Commission should not take action on nor discuss matters raised during public comment portion of the agenda that are not listed on the agenda. Comments are limited to the first 10 speakers at 3 minutes per speaker. Speakers may not yield their time to others without consent of the chair. All comments are to be directed to the Planning Commission and shall be devoid of any personal attacks. Members of the public are expected to maintain a professional, courteous decorum during public comments. Please complete and submit a speaker card, little blue forms in the back there. If you would like to be included in the public speaking, turn it into the city clerk. You'll be asked to state your name and city of residence for the record. Do we have any public comments?
We have no public comments.
Fantastic. At this time, we'll go ahead and close the public comments. Our first public hearing this evening is GRB Trucking LLC Thunderbird Estates Storage Facility, APN number 639-211-014 and APN number 639-211-015, CUP number 22-14. May I have a staff report, please?
Hi, good evening, Chair and Planning Commission. I do have a presentation for you, staff report. So this conditional use permit 22-14 is for Thunderbird Estates, their personal storage facility. So Thunderbird Estates was originally built in 1942 and is currently undergoing park-wide improvements. The park has undergone recent renovations and is overseen by the California Department of Housing and Community Development, HCD, so is therefore not part of the conditional use permit review. An application was received on April 28, 2022 for a conditional use permit for 3 personal storage units on APN 639-211-014 and APN 639-211-015. Here I made a little site plan showing what we're actually looking at, just to kind of differentiate the two. The existing mobile home park is located between 5th and 6th Street off of Palm Drive. The storage or the CUP that we are looking at today is located off of Palm Drive. Here are the vacant, this is the vacant parcel right now for the 2 APNs. Here's a video of the location, how it sits today. The applicant has applied for a conditional use permit to add 3 personal storage units to the established mobile home park. The 2 parcels proposed for the personal storage are zoned commercial general, CG, which allows for this type of use with the approval of a conditional use permit. The mobile home park is required to merge all 6 parcels and as a condition of approval, and the proposed storage units are on the 2 parcels located at the southwest corner of 6th Street and Palm Drive. Here's the site plan on the left side looking at the entire site, and the storage facility that the CUP is for is on the right-hand side. Here is included is the landscaping, includes various different plants, as you can see, and will as well adhere to all of the drought-tolerant requirements from Mission Springs Water District. Again, here's the proposed project location, located just north of Las Palmas Mexican Cuisine. Here are elevations of the units. The storage units are to be architecturally compatible with the mobile home park community, and just wanted to make that clear, knowing that these elevations don't necessarily depict a really good rendering of what will be the finished product. Conditions of approval. The conditional use permit application was routed to all applicable departments for review and conditions. The draft conditions of approval are attached in the staff report. This application does not include signage. It's just for the storage units. They will, if any additional signage will be created, they'll have to apply for a permit. And any additional building permits required will also need to be applied for. Staff recommends to add the following condition. The personal storage units shall be architecturally compatible with the adjoining mobile home park. Environmental analysis pursuant to Section 15332 of the California Environmental Quality Act, statutes and guidelines. An urban infill exemption requires projects to be consistent with all applicable general plans and zoning designations located within a city's limits on a site 5 acres or less, bordered by urban uses, and without significant impacts to traffic, noise, air quality, or water quality. This infill product is consistent with the local general plan and zoning requirements, and will have negligible environmental impacts. This is vacant land and is devoid of any sensitive habitat and has adequate public utilities. This project is exempt under CEQA guidelines, Class 32 Urban Infill Exemption, Section 15332. Here's just some additional information where we go through. We have checked the conditional use permit. We've done analysis on the conditional use permit and verified that this is allowed use for the site and the zoning. It is consistent with the general plan. The height, setback, circulation, and parking has been routed for conditions. The fiscal impact is that the applicant has paid all the fees and is for the entitlement process. I already mentioned the environmental analysis urban infill exemption, and the findings are attached in the staff report. Timeline: application was submitted on April 28, 2022. It was then routed to all applicable departments. Staff report was generated, and now it's before you as a public hearing. The recommendation is the consideration of conditional use permit number 22-14 to allow for the development of a personal storage facility as an accessory use to the existing mobile home park, subject to the conditions of approval and findings. That completes my report, and I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you for that staff report. Do we have any questions of staff at the moment? Commissioner Grant?
Yes. What are the hours as far as their operation hours that's required by the municipal code?
So the actual storage facility is not going to be open to the public. It will be open just to the residents themselves.
Right.
And so it'd be subject to what the mobile home park HOA would be subjecting those hours to be. They would have to be applicable within the hours that you can operate any storage facility in the municipal code. I can verify what that time specific is, but it would need to adhere to those times.
Right, but they could be open 24 hours because it's the HOA governing that, correct?
I can check with you. I can check on that and get back to you on that answer.
Okay, then the next question that I have for you is the residents were given sufficient notice? The neighboring residents?
Yes, this was noticed.
Okay.
Thank you, Commissioner Grant. Commissioner Cook, any questions?
None.
Thank you, Commissioner Cook. Commissioner Wagstaff?
No questions.
Thank you, Commissioner Wagstaff. Vice Chair Nindell?
I just have one question. Twice you said that the storage structures would be compatible with the other buildings, the residential areas. How are you defining compatible?
That is a good question. So they would need to be architecturally compatible, so meaning that whatever is designed and allowed in the mobile home park itself, it would need to be compatible, meaning that it would have to have a very matched aesthetic look. That is the general idea. There are specifics to it, but nonetheless, that's the idea. And I have as well. I do have some renderings of the project itself that I can show you as well, and that maybe will make a little bit more sense. I do have them in my PowerPoint. If you'd like to pull up the PowerPoint again, and it would be at the end of it.
Yes, please.
Absolutely.
May I chime in really quickly? I do want to note.
Go ahead.
I do want to know for the benefit of the commission, and this is going to be pulled up here. I think there's a traditional look and feel that I think people expect with respect to housing units. But what's on the screen, this is a totally different concept that this project is bringing to the city. And so we would ask and condition it that it would be very consistent with this look and feel.
Okay. Vice Chair Nindell, did you have anything further? Okay. Commissioner Wagstaff, go ahead. Okay. In that case, if there are no other questions of staff at the moment, we will go ahead and open the public hearing and take testimony from the applicant. Is the applicant here this evening? There's a little button there. Thank you very much.
There we go. Good evening, Anthony Huerta with the community. Thank you for taking the time to hear this. So the renderings you saw at the very end is the culmination of the last couple months of us trying to figure out exactly how to make this project unique, stand out, something that the neighborhood can be proud to have within their community. When we submitted the plans for the storage facility, which is specifically just for the residents of that community, for the ones that'll be in those structures, we had not yet come up with that vision, so we submitted just typical, normal manufactured home style elevations and siding. That obviously has changed. Now they're going to be stuccoed, and the storage units will match the architectural details with the eyebrows, the pops, the corbels, all that's going to be on there, so that from the street, it is a contiguous look and feel. So the landscape, the fence that'll be around the property with the live vines is going to keep a nice, clean look for the entire community. So as people drive by it on 6th, everything looks and feels the same. So this is not open to the public. It is solely for the residents. If there are conditions for hours that we have to allow the residents can only access to the storage units for during certain hours, that easily can be done. That's not a problem. We just write that into our rules. So that's simple enough for us to do. If there are any other questions, I shall be happy to answer them if you have them.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions of the applicant currently? Commissioner Grant?
Not at this time, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Grant. Vice Chair Nindell?
No.
Thank you, Vice Chair Nindell. Commissioner Cook?
My only question is, will it be managed by the same overall management of the HOA?
So not quite, sir. So we will be a conventional mobile home park, not a homeowners association. So it's we are the owners are owner-operators of several communities, so they will be managing them just as they do the other communities that they have. So it'll be done in-house. HCD will stay on top of us, especially given what's transpired. This community is obviously will be under a microscope as we continue to move forward with the development and operate the community after everything is done and the residents have moved in, new residents. So
I do have one more question.
Okay, did you have anything further, Commissioner Cook? Wonderful. Commissioner Wagstaff?
You answered my question. I was just concerned about the look from the street. I know it's black wrought iron around the property.
yes, sir, it is, but we're going to make it live. We care as much about the aesthetics, I imagine, as the city does. This is a project that we are looking forward to making a change in the industry and how manufactured housing is looked at. So I promise you there's going to be nothing ugly about it. We're working very hard to make this something that's going to stand out, and we're hoping to duplicate down the road. So
Perfect.
we really are trying to make this something unique.
Thank you, Commissioner Wagstaff. Vice Chair Nindell?
Just one question. How many people will live in this whole complex?
So it's a 74-space community, so it'll be 74 homes, and only as Department of Housing guidelines allow, which is, residents per the home, 2 in the bedrooms.
And each one will have 1 or 2 parking spaces in front of it, or?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And those are depicted on the plans that were submitted.
Thank you, Vice Chair Nindell.
I did want to chime in there just for a little bit and just kind of clarify that
Go ahead.
we are just focusing on the storage units themselves and not the park. The park, the owners are here really to showcase what the product is going to look like and to show what the architectural compatibility really will be. But just want to reiterate just the emphasis on that it is just the storage facility. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. I was actually going to just take care of that myself and remind everyone that we've got to stay on track with the storage facility. Even though the two are going to look very close together and they are somewhat going to be together, tonight we are dealing specifically with the storage unit. I do appreciate the ability to see the aesthetics, though. That does help us with this project. Is there any further questions of the applicant from the commission? Okay, at this time, you can go ahead and sit down, sir. We appreciate you being here this evening. At this time, we will go ahead and open At this time, we will go ahead and take public testimony for those in favor of this item, if there are any.
We have none.
Public testimony for this item from anyone opposed.
We have none.
Public testimony from those in a neutral position.
We have none.
Well, since there is no one to rebut the applicant, there's no need for you to come back up and rebut. So we will go ahead and close the public hearing and have Planning Commission discussion. Who would like to start off? Commissioner Wagstaff.
I write it down.
I'm having a rough night tonight.
I'm ready to make a motion, so if there's no other comments.
Go ahead.
I'll make a motion for the consideration of a conditional use permit number 22-14 with conditions of approval to allow the development of a storage facility as an accessory use to the existing mobile home park.
I'll second that.
Okay, let's go ahead and signify that on our monitors. And let's go ahead and vote.
Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you very much. Congratulations, sir. Moving on, we have the next item on the agenda is Jin Ding Massage Therapy Establishment, CUP number 22-5. May we have a staff report, please?
Yes, you may. I do have a PowerPoint. So the conditional use permit 22-5 is for Jinding Massage Establishment. The proposed massage therapy establishment, Jinding Massage, is located at 14080 Palm Drive, Unit C. On February 16, 2022, staff cited Jinding Massage, code case 22-195 per section 17.44.150 of the Desert Hot Springs Municipal Code for installing a business sign without permits. On February 23, 2022, staff cited Jinding Massage, code 22-216 per section 5.04.040.a of the Desert Hot Springs Municipal Code for operating without a valid business license. The applicant has since gained compliance in it by addressing the code violations. The proposed location, it was previously a Taekwondo facility. It is located in the Vaughn Shopping Center. It is also adjacent to the Desert Springs Middle School. The proposed project is located at 1400 Palm Drive, Unit C, in an existing multi-tenant commercial building measuring approximately 2,000 square feet located within the Vaughn Shopping Center. It has undergone the conditional use permit analysis, and we have verified that it is consistent with the general plan. Here is the floor plan that was presented to us. It is an interior floor space. It has 16 sections that are divided by curtains, 1 office, 1 bathroom, and 1 laundry room. The conditional use permit application was routed to all applicable departments for review and conditions. The draft conditions of approval are attached in the staff report. The approval is for the proposed massage business establishment in the commercial general zoning district located at 1400 Palm Drive, Unit C. The applicant and developer shall comply with all the conditions within the conditional use permit 22-5. The applicant developer shall comply with all ADA requirements, including but not limited to parking, signage, path of travel, maximum slope, door access, restroom access, etc. No signage is approved under this permit. Prior to the issuance of a certificate of occupancy, the proprietor/therapist shall obtain a massage permit and business license issued by the city. Any exterior improvements shall be subject to review and approval of the planning department, such as colors and materials. Final occupancy shall be completed by fire, building, planning, and Mission Springs Water District and any other applicable departments. In accordance with the provisions of California Environmental Quality Act, this project is categorically exempt from the environmental review pursuant section number 15301, class number 1, existing facilities of the California Environmental Quality Act. The project has undergone conditional use permit analysis. We have verified general plan consistency. We have the fiscal impact that the project has would be the additional sales tax that's generated from that establishment. We went over the exemption for the environmental analysis, and the findings have been included in your report. The timeline, the applicant was submitted on February 8th, 2022. After that, there was some code cases. After those were cleaned up, the project was still routed through for the conditions of approval. Once all those items were addressed, then the staff report was then generated, completed, and routed for approval. And today is the public hearing. The recommendation is the consideration of conditional use permit number 22-5 to operate a massage therapy establishment located at 1400 Palm Drive, Unit C, subject to the conditions of approval and findings. And that concludes my report, and I'm here to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you for your staff report. At this time, we'll go ahead and entertain questions of staff from the Planning Commission. Commissioner Grant.
None at this time. Thank you.
Vice Chair Nindell. Commissioner Cook.
I have 2 specific questions for the city attorney, because I'm sorry my questions were not answered that I had.
Very good.
Number 1, Jennifer, please, can a business application be held waiting on future ordinances to be approved for that business?
So the answer is it really depends. I think here what happened is we had a lot of code enforcement cases that we were really trying to work through with the applicant. And so I don't think necessarily, I mean, as we saw in the timeline, which is included in your administrative record, I think that, you see that timeline. But to answer your question in a vacuum is really difficult because facts and circumstances, it depends. If you just have, something that's run of the mill, everything's great, you have an application in, et cetera, In this case, this application also needed a CUP. There were various code enforcement issues, obviously, that were cleaned up. It's my understanding, I'm assuming, I don't know, but that the applicant worked with the city, so it took a few months to actually get to the public hearing process. But it could depend for another business. And I hate to give you that kind of advice on kind of the fly, but at the same token, I'm not going to, give you a definitive answer if I don't really have facts and circumstances that would support my analysis. So if there is something that's specific that, you have or that comes up, definitely feel free to come talk to me about it. But I hate to give the city attorney answer if it depends, but it really does because it depends on where they are in the process.
Okay, I only have one comment, please. Based upon any business that applies for, that puts in an application for any business, as long as that business meets the criteria of the existing ordinances, shouldn't that business go ahead and be granted an approval?
So not necessarily, and here's why, and this is where there's a distinction. So if I'm a business and if I'm going to make something up, this is 100% hypothetical, but if I have a lumber cutting business and I am going into a commercial zone, just because I have an application in, for all I know, lumber cutting requires a CUP. So what do I have to do? I have to go through the entire public hearing process because it's due process, right? So it depends on the kind of business and it depends on whether or not it's permitted as a matter of right, whether or not it's permitted as a conditional use permit, because a conditional use permit in many cities could take 6 months to 8 months to a year to get before the planning commission. There's environmental issues, there's circulation issues, there's possibly study issues. Now, if I were just I'm going to give you another example, a restaurant. Absolutely permitted, or a coffee shop, absolutely permitted, so long as the application is completely, and so long as it's permitted in the code, and it doesn't require a CUP, but it's permitted as a matter of right versus requiring a CUP, which requires a lot more due process, hearing, notice, there's just a lot more involved. It very well may be where a restaurant could open up after their application and all their fees are paid, so long as there's no code enforcement issues and other issues that the city would have to consider.
Of course.
It could be a lot easier for a restaurant. I'm just giving an example.
Right. My second question is, can we legally hold up or deny an application because the business was cited for operating without approval?
Yeah, absolutely. So if a business does not have a business license, obviously they can't go into business, right? So if somebody is operating a business with no business license, we could absolutely cite them for not having a business license.
Commissioner Wagstaff.
No comment.
Okay, fantastic. Some clarification for me. Looking at the timeline, it appears to me, and please correct me if I'm wrong, it's my understanding that if you apply for any kind of a business license in the city of Desert Hot Springs, no matter what the business, that in order to obtain that business license, you have to be in current compliance with all city codes. So if the business was not in compliance, which obviously they were not, that would have delayed the process to them getting to us for a conditional use permit hearing. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there any other questions of staff? Okay, at this time, we will go ahead and open the public hearing and take testimony from the applicant, if the applicant would like.
The applicant is here. Her English is limited. I want to just start this out with that, but I'm more than happy to let her know if she would like to come up and say anything.
Okay, very good. And if she has someone with her that would like to speak, that would be okay too, to help her out.
So the applicant just let me know that she would need her translator. And I don't appear that there's anybody here, but if you would like, we can wait. But like I said, her English is very limited.
Well, I would like her to have the best opportunity possible in this public hearing. Would it be possible for her to have someone to help her, say within the next 10 to 15 minutes if we were to take a recess?
Let me ask her.
Thank you very much.
So she said that yes, about 10 minutes.
Okay, why don't we do this? It is 6:31 right now. Why don't we recess until 6:45? That should allow ample time for her interpreter to get here. So we'll go ahead and recess right now until 6:45. Thank you. All right, welcome back, everyone, to the regular meeting of the Planning Commission Tuesday, August 23rd, 2022. It is 6:45 p.m. We are currently hearing the Jin Ding Massage Therapy Establishment CUP number 22-5, and we are opening the public hearing to take testimony from the applicant. I believe the translator has arrived. Good evening.
The business license
因为时间太长了。
because there was a delay.
不用念第一句了。
你哪句话想说？
这是我发给你的吗？
这是今天早晨，这是我改好的。
这个你改了？
你的原来的在这儿呢，在这儿。
意思，尊敬的计划委员会的领导们，
这就不用说了。
再次阐明，金丁Massage Spa，是具有规模的，面积很大，有2700尺，请见图纸。这是一所。
好的。Okay, she want to say this massage spa is a big place, and she already paid rent for several months. 继续，我把那个付钱的事情已经说了。
正常的那个
这就不用说了。
能安排10个人以上的就业。
This business can make more than 10 employment opportunity.
可以同时接纳20位客人。
We can accommodate 20 guests at the same time.
我聘请的按摩师呢都有按摩证，是通过按摩局考试的。
And we are going to hire a massage therapist with a license.
我们是守法的纳税人，在 Riverside County 也算是很大的按摩店了。
And we will pay tax, and we 就是这样，你不用说大小了，他们知道。
还说这个？
我不知道，你说。
我是从2月份开始申请的。
She started to apply the business from February.
然后就拖到了今天，我还没有得到营业许可。
And till now, we still don't have the business license yet.
我付房租差不多付了3万。
She already paid rent for several months. And also there's other investments.
一共投资了差不多5万块，到今天为止。
Total is about $50,000.
我希望今天能给我营业执照。
So she really want to get the business license. She don't want to waste all this money.
谢谢。
Thank everybody. 行了，我把要说的这个。
Thank you very much. I have a question for you, if you would, and some of the other commissioners might as well, if you just stay there for just a moment. Thank you. Our staff gave us information that you had 3 violations prior to coming before us, code violations. Is there a reason why you decided to open your business before completing the entire process to get your business open?
他说你事先有3次违章的记录。
没有。
She said she doesn't.
你听我说，因为呢，是我妹妹给我拿来了，那个她这个不用的这个 open site。然后呢，我把那个牌匾也拿回来了。帮我这个做牌匾的人呢，他说不知道你那个城市管理的严不严，你就可以挂上去，因为那个灯露在外面，上面那个灯啊，就是 门口墙上面那个灯，它那个里面的灯管露在外面，我怕刮风什么的，把那个灯管刮坏了。
一句一来 ，OK， so it seems she want to talk about a violation regarding the open sign, and she said her sister gave her the open sign, and then she doesn't know if it's okay to put the open sign on, and所以说你就，so she put it
对，
on.
我那一天只是试一试，并没有
She
开业。
just
现
want
在
to
里边是空
try.
的。
She didn't do business on that day, but she just turned on the open sign to see if it works.
现在里面是空的。
就是想看看那个 open sign 能不能用，是吧？
对，然后不是，我主要是怕那个灯管儿，因为这里风很大，我怕把那个灯管刮坏了，所以就把它安上去了。然后帮我做牌匾呢，他说不知道你这个城市严不严，你可以挂上去。
你别说这个，这个跟这个没关系，你是把这个牌匾放上去了，只是想试一试。
然后呢，他让我，然后就交了200块钱。
别用。
然后
Yeah, and okay, so she said she put the sign on, and but we didn't really do any business at that time. 就是这样。
对，因为我也不懂英语，他们来了也不懂，然后只是。
这个跟这个没关系。
Okay, so what I'm understanding is that you put the sign up not intending to do business, but to try it out because your sister had sent it to you.
他的意思就是说，你把那个灯挂上去，并不是当时为了做生意，只是因为你的这个妹妹把这个灯寄给你，你想试试看能用不能用。
对，那我没有开业。
That's correct.
Okay. Now, what about, I can understand one violation, making a mistake, but what about the second violation? Because we have 3 violations, not 1, not 2, but 3.
他还有另外2个违章的记录。第二个你也解释一下。
那2个是什么？
Okay, she doesn't know the other 2 violations.
Can we pull that back up on the PowerPoint?
Yeah, yes, I wanted to clarify, it's two separate code cases, but within them are several visits that they've done. So I don't have the full cases with me, but I'm happy to show the timeline. The first part of your staff report in the background.
Thank you. Yes, please.
It does state and I can go over that right now. It's so February 16th was the first time we made contact with the tenant. That's when the talk about the signage was done, and it was the signage, both the open sign and also all the other signage, the actual massage establishment sign that on the 16th they were made contact with, and then on the 23rd they were cited separately for actually being operational at that time.
Okay, on February, so it was 2, not 3. I apologized. On February 16th is when code enforcement came and discussed the open sign and the other signs on the building, which she's already explained to me. The part that we're talking about right now is on the 23rd of February when you were cited for being open without a license.
2月23号，你就是开营业没有执照就营业了。
没有 no
没有啊
no customer no。
she said no。
我发誓没有，因为我不懂英语。
she said she doesn't know English. Maybe there's some confusion, misunderstanding, something.
Okay, thank you very much. That's the only questions I have, but hold on just a moment. Ms. Grant, do you have any questions for the applicant?
等会儿人家有问题。
Okay. Vice Chair Nindell, do you have any questions for the applicant? No. Commissioner Cook? No. Commissioner Wagstaff?
Mine would be more for staff also.
Okay, fantastic. At this time, you can go ahead and sit down. We don't have any further questions for you at the moment, okay? Go ahead and sit down.
就是现在没有什么事情，你可以坐下来。
Thank you.
Okay, at this time, is there any public testimony for anyone in favor of, opposed to, or in a neutral position on this item?
We do not.
Okay, wonderful. There's no reason for the applicant to have to come up and rebut since there is nothing to rebut. So we will go ahead and close the public hearing at this time and open up Planning Commission discussion. Who would like to start off?
I would.
Go ahead, Commissioner Grant.
Okay, I have questions. And I hope these should be valid. So, with the applicant having been cited in violation for 2 codes, are there any ramifications that would prohibit them now from going through this process where they, okay, all right, okay,
No, just to answer your question, no, there are not.
okay, okay, I'm gonna leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Grant. Commissioner Cook? Commissioner Wagstaff?
At this time, they are currently not operational, but they are legal to operate if approved.
So the short answer is a CUP, conditional use permit, would allow them the ability to have that use at this property. So that addresses that question. If there's a follow-up question.
That was it.
At this time, then, they are currently, right now, in compliance to be able to, well, in compliance with our city codes.
So they do not have a conditional use permit. That's the item that's before you all tonight. And it's my understanding they still do not have a business license. But to their defense, it becomes what comes first, the chicken or the egg. You can't get your business license if you don't have a valid entitlement in place. This is a sensitive use, the conditional use permit for massage establishments. It is a sensitive use, which is why it does come before the Planning Commission. And so we are providing you all facts pertaining to this situation so that the Planning Commission could utilize those facts in determining whether or not to allow this business to continue and move forward with the valid permission to operate a massage establishment in our community, considering the history.
Thank you very much. Anything else, Commissioner Wagstaff, at the moment?
No.
Vice Chair Nindell? Okay. Commissioner Grant, go ahead.
In this particular situation, again, so the CUP is the entitlement that we're looking at, okay, preferential as opposed to the business license because you can't have one with, okay. All right.
Correct. So the conditional use permit is the starting point for a massage establishment business. So that is generally the first step in the process. Unfortunately, with this particular business, they got a little ahead of the process and started operating without a valid business license, conditional use permit, or signage permit. So the item before you tonight is to try to gain compliance with that starting point, which is the conditional use permit. If that is approved, that would then enable staff to actually move forward with processing the business license and then the subsequent signage permit.
Chair, if I may I ask one last question?
Go ahead,
Okay.
Commissioner Grant.
Thank you. After this process, you can't give me a definitive answer on how long it would be for the business license because, okay, all right, thank you. That's sufficient.
I don't know if a head nod is sufficient, but unfortunately, there could be a couple of things that play there. But I can tell you that if the entitlement does get approved tonight, our goal is to always move things forward expeditiously. We don't want to stall businesses. So we do have the application on file, and that would be first order of business tomorrow when we come in is to start that process to move that forward.
Thank you very much, Ms. Williams. Commissioner Grant. Normally I'm on board for small businesses coming into a community. I'm gung-ho for new businesses, whether they're big or small, coming into a community. It means jobs, it means tax dollars, it's good for everybody. However, it's also our job to take a look at whether the applicant is going to be able to produce what they're putting in front of us, or if it's going to be problematic. And given the information tonight that we've been given, with a violation on February 16th with open signs and other signage on the property, and then being cited on the 23rd for actually being open, 2 violations before ever even being able to have the opportunity to go through the process properly, that really makes me leery about granting a conditional use permit for this particular establishment. That's my 2 cents. Does anyone else have anything they would like to add before we go into voting? Okay, if nothing, if someone would like to make a motion, the floor is yours. Well, I will go ahead and make a motion at this time. I'd like to make a motion to deny conditional use permit 22-5, given the violations on February 16th and February 23rd. I don't believe this establishment to be willing to comply with all local laws and ordinances to make this a successful facility. With it being in close proximity to a school, I'm very concerned that this is going to end up being problematic. With that being said, my motion is to deny. Is there
I'll
a second?
second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, if I may, prior to taking a vote, the findings that I heard, and if anybody would like to make more findings for denial, I'll listen, but the findings that I heard from the motion maker are the 2 violations on February 16th and 23rd, that there's not a strong belief or not a belief that the establishment will comply with local ordinances. And in addition, I'm going to word it a little bit differently, but there's it's a sensitive use, which is in very close proximity to a school, and is basically the concern that if they're not willing to comply with local ordinances, it could have secondary effects for the children.
That is correct.
Okay. If anybody also wants to add, if this is the pleasure of the commission, I don't know yet, there hasn't been a vote, but any more findings as well, I will jot those down.
Would anyone else like to add any findings as to why this development should not be approved?
I would second your comment on the fact that they were fined or cited originally on the 16th for having an open sign, and then the applicant sitting in front of us today telling us that they were not operating, and then 1 week later from the date of the original citation being cited for operating without a permit tends to push me in the direction that that would be their further operating style.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Wagstaff. City Attorney, Ms. City Attorney, is that sufficient?
If I may, I'm going to just quickly go through the staff report because there are several findings, and I would like to go through kind of one by one of the findings. I'm just going to pull it up real quick if you could give me about a minute or so.
Please.
So what I'm hearing as well is there is a finding in our municipal code, and it says that there will be an adverse effect upon desirable neighborhood characteristics. From what my understanding, some of the findings that the Planning Commission made pursuant to our municipal code, I'm hearing that the Planning Commission, at least from the motion maker, I know we haven't had a vote on it yet, that there will be adverse effects upon the neighborhood, especially in light of the proximity to the school. That the proposed use is needed or appropriate at the prescribed location. From what I'm hearing, again, that finding cannot be made, similar to the argument that it is close to the school in light of the fact of the history of the code violations, that could be problematic. problematic.
Correct.
That there's a few more that I'll read into the record. That there will not be significant harmful effects upon, forgive me, that was something else, forgive me. One more thing. That's what I have.
Yes, that is correct. So we have a motion and a second on the floor. At this time, we will go ahead and move for a vote.
What is the specific motion?
The motion is to deny conditional use permit 22-14 with the findings that the city attorney just read off. Just waiting, there we go. Go ahead and vote.
Motion fails with Wagstaff opposed. Motion passes with Wagstaff opposed. My bad.
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, if I may, and I forgive me, there would be one more finding, and that is that the proposed location, size, design, and operating characteristics, it currently says that would be detrimental to the public interest, health, safety, and welfare. I know that the vote has already been taken, but that would be, if the planning commission so desires, it would be another finding. Forgive me, I missed that one.
Chair, if we may add that, could we add that?
I would be willing to. I would be willing to add that. Would the commission let me restate my motion to include that finding as well? Okay. We will. I restate my motion to include that finding. Ms. Grant, do you second?
I will second.
Okay, we have the motion maker and the person that seconded in agreement. Do we need to take another vote on that as a commission?
I would take another vote for the clarity of the record. That was my fault that I did not see that last finding. And you can take another vote for the clarity of the record.
Okay, and very good. And before we do, may I have the city clerk read back the motion with said findings so that the commission is clear on what they are voting for? Okay. City Attorney, Miss City Attorney, if you'd help me out with this. I'm being told by the city clerk that we don't have that written down, so I'm going to restate my motion and have you read out those findings for me again, if you would, please.
Okay.
Okay. My motion is to deny conditional use permit number 22-5 with the following findings.
Okay, sorry about this, I'm going to do this all over again. The findings are, that I heard were that the violation, based upon the code violations on the 16th of February and the 23rd of February. Also that there's not a belief that the establishment will in fact comply with local ordinances due to the history. Also, because there's not a belief that they will comply with local ordinances, and there is that the establishment is located I guess, close to a school, the proximity to the school, and could possibly have secondary effects on school kids, is what I heard. That there also was, this was by Commissioner Wagstaff, that there was the original citation was on the 16th with the open sign, but yet on February 23rd, the establishment was found to be operating. And then, let me go back through these, forgive me. that the proposed use would be incompatible with the land uses presently, I'm going to say kind of near the subject property. Again, that's due to the school. That there would be an adverse effect upon neighborhood characteristics. Again, this was kind of due to the fact that there could be secondary effects to the school. Again, please correct me if I misstate anything. These are the commission's findings, not mine.
No, you are
Okay.
correct thus far.
And let me keep going, there's more. That the proposed location, size, design, it says, and operating characteristics of the proposed use would in fact be detrimental to the public interest, health, safety, convenience, and welfare. Again, this was due to the code enforcement issues, the proximity to the school, and the belief that the establishment will not comply with local ordinances. I believe that is what I have. If there's anything else, please do let me know.
I believe that was everything. So that is my motion to deny with those findings. Commissioner Grant, you've seconded that motion. At this time, we will go ahead and go back to the vote. I believe it's on your screen.
Motion passes unanimously.
Mr. Chair, if I may, I do see that there was a unanimous vote this time. Commissioner Wagstaff, did you accidentally vote in error the previous vote?
Yes, new voting system.
Thank you.
Apologies.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Ms. City Attorney, for clarifying that. Okay, at this time, we will move on to the last item on the agenda, HP Communications, Inc., Office and Construction Yard located at 64777 Dillon Road, Conditional Use Permit number 22-17.
Mr. Chair, members of the commission, I'm so sorry for interrupting yet again. Forgive me. I just wanted to tell the applicant and anybody in the audience that the application here, the CUP was denied, that there is an appeal right, and they have 15 days to appeal to the city council, so it is a very short window of time. Should the applicant desire to appeal, it needs to file the proper appeal. I believe there's a fee as well with the city clerk's office.
Thank you very much, Ms. City Attorney. I did notice that staff did go out to notify the applicant as well. Thank you very much for that. Okay, moving on, HP Communications, Inc., Office and Construction Yard located at 64777 Dillon Road, Conditional Use Permit number 22-17. May I have a staff report, please?
Yes, thank you. The applicant, HP Communications, Inc., has filed a conditional use permit to occupy an existing building that sits on a 1.20-acre parcel. The project is located on the south side of Dillon Road at approximately 1,100 feet west of Little Morongo Road within the Commercial Business Park District, as shown here. The applicant will utilize the existing building for an office as a primary use and will be storing the telecom-related materials such as fiber optic cable, bolts, conduit, etc. The site will also be used to park equipment vehicles, pickup trucks, flatbeds, and utility lift vehicles. All the equipment will be stored in the rear of the property as shown here under storage area, and all the equipment vehicles will be parked on a paved surfaces to meet city standards. Shown here are some existing site photos. There is no proposed addition or alteration to the existing building. Only minor exterior changes will include our paved surface, the addition of the landscape, and any off-site improvements as conditioned. Shown here is a proposed floor plan and some interior photos. The existing building has a total square footage of 3,600 square feet, and the proposed uses include office space, large conference room, restrooms, a main lobby area, and a garage. Staff has calculated based on the square footage and uses that the project will be required to have a minimum of 11 parking spaces, which include 1 for ADA. The landscape plan shows new planting along the street frontage only. The choice of plantings includes existing palm trees that will remain, in addition to 5-gallon shrubs, accent plants with ground cover, and large boulders. All plants will be drought tolerant and will be well suited to the desert environment. The applicant proposes to occupy an existing commercial building with only minor exterior improvements. In accordance with the provisions of CEQA, the project is categorically exempt from environmental review pursuant to section number 15301, class number 1, existing facilities. With that, this is for consideration of conditional use permit number 22-17 to occupy an existing building and operate an HP communication office and construction yard located at 64777 Dillon Road, subject to the conditions of approval and findings for APN 666-300-001. I am available if you have any questions, and the applicant is also here. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Patricia. Are there any questions from staff of the Planning Commission? Commissioner Grant?
None at this time, thank you.
Vice Chair Nindell? No. Commissioner Wagstaff?
No.
Commissioner Cook?
None.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. At this time, we'll go ahead and open the public hearing and take testimony from the applicant if the applicant is here. Wonderful. Thank you, sir. There's a button on the front of the microphone there. If you could state your name for the record.
Chris Price with HP Communications.
Welcome, Mr. Price.
Thank you. Thanks for your consideration on our permit. We're excited, hopefully get granted for the permit. We're currently looking forward to building a fiber to the home network to every resident in Desert Hot Springs. Our customer is Race Communications. I'm not sure if you're aware of that project, but we're getting ready to break ground, and we're excited about that opportunity. Once the project's built, which will take about a year and a half, then we'll maintain that network for the residents and our customer, Race Communications. So we're looking forward to hopefully being a part of the city for long term.
Thank you very much. Are there any questions of the applicant currently? Commissioner Grant?
None at this time, thank you, Chair.
Vice Chair Nindell? Commissioner Cook?
None.
Commissioner Wagstaff?
No questions.
Thank you, sir, for being here this evening. If you'd please take a seat.
Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. At this time, we'll go ahead and take public testimony from anyone in favor, opposed, or in a neutral position on this item.
We have none.
Thank you very much. With nothing to rebut, there's no need for you to come back up, so we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. At this time, we'll have Planning Commission discussion and take consideration on conditional use permit number 22-17. Commissioner Grant, did you have anything that you would like to discuss on this item?
Not at this time, ready to make a motion if everybody else is ready.
Does anyone else have anything that they need to talk about on this item? Okay, fantastic. Ms. Grant, the floor is yours.
I'd like to make a motion to approve conditional use of permit 22-17 for HP Communications office construction yard located at 6477 Dillon Road.
I will second that motion. So we have a motion and a second, and we can go ahead and vote on your screen.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, fantastic. That was the last item on the public hearing. So at this time, we will go ahead and reopen the public comments to give an opportunity to those members of the public who have not yet addressed the Planning Commission on any item which is not on the agenda. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per speaker. Please state your name and city of residence for the record. Do we have anyone for public comments this evening?
We do not.
Okay, thank you very much for that. We'll go ahead and close the public comments. We're on Chair and Planning Commission member reports. Commissioner Grant, do you have anything this evening?
Yes, I do. I actually attended the Cannabis Advisory Council meeting on August the 17th with Councilwoman Jan Pai. Boy, there were so many I want to say vendors, owner-operators, and things there. And COD is basically who they partner with. There's so much education out there for our community that I would really love to see our community get on board, especially when it comes to cannabis. The programs that are offered with COD go from metric to edibles. I think good manufacturing practices. I don't have them all down in my head, but if anyone, is interested and wants to get a cannabis education, I believe COD has a wonderful program. They can contact Veronica. I'm not going to pronounce her last name right, Izurieta, and that's all I wanted to share. I think this was a great opportunity. Hopefully Desert Hot Springs will have the opportunity to host the next meeting if at all possible, and kind of collaborate with them as far as education in our cannabis community. So that's all I wanted to share. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Grant. Vice Chair Nindell?
Nothing.
Thank you, Vice Chair Nindell. Commissioner Wagstaff?
No comments.
Commissioner Cook?
None.
Okay, fantastic. I do have one thing that I wanted to touch base on this evening real quick for staff. I've received multiple telephone calls from numerous residents throughout the city in regards to Municipal Code 12.04030, unlawful camping.
Say that one more time.
12, yes, 12.04.030. And the problems that I'm hearing is that because we do have a severe vagrant problem here in the city, or homeless problem here in the city, a lot of times the individuals that don't accept the help that we've extended have a tendency to hang around in commercial areas that are very, 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 very close to residential areas. One of the complaints that I received was that he's had one homeless camp sitting for the last 30 days on the corner of Desert View and Palm Drive, where they sit and smoke methamphetamine all day. The dealer shows up, sells methamphetamine there, and continues on. And apparently, those of us who would be in a position to do something about it, for whatever reason, drive on to the next problem, and that problem remains. That's something that I haven't just gotten feedback from the community on in just that one localized area. Myself, today I had to contact law enforcement in regards to public intoxication. We've begun having an extreme lack of respect for the law within our community recently. Some crimes petty, some not so petty, that turn into bigger issues. And those issues are really starting to affect our residents here in the community. So I wanted to make sure that I brought that up so that staff can take a look at that and we can start trying to get something together to remedy it.
May I provide a couple comments?
Yes, please, Ms. Wilms.
So I'm going to be very careful because this is not on the agenda. But I don't want to wait another 30 days to address the concern, because this is a concern that we're also hearing across the board, and is something that is on our radar literally every single day. We can arrange at the next Planning Commission meeting to go over presentation with you all to outline some of the challenges that the city does face with respect to a Supreme Court ruling that came down with respect to how the city is able to handle enforcement when it comes to the unhoused community. I think that will be very, very helpful. We can also go into ways in which private property owners can empower themselves to move forward with 602 letters and no trespassing signs and such. And then we can talk a little bit about the overall plans that the city is working on to address the challenges. In short, and again, city attorney may stop me soon, but in short, there was a Supreme Court ruling that did come down that basically it was Boise versus Idaho. It's okay, we don't have to cite it, but there's a
City of Boise,
Idaho. Yes, Boise, Idaho versus Martin. And essentially what it ruled was this, that a city cannot criminalize the homeless population. And so with respect to enforcing camping on the public right-of-way, unless a jurisdiction has, or parks, any public property, unless a jurisdiction has shelter available for that homeless population within their community, we're very limited in how we can approach that. So again, I think a bigger presentation, I think, will be helpful to go over some of the challenges, but then also to talk about what we're working on that can help everybody. So I'm going to stop because Jennifer's going to stop me any moment. But I just want you and the rest of the commission and our residents to know this is something that we're working on every single day right now for our residents and for the unhoused community.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for that. And it's not necessarily the homelessness that's creating the blight. It's we've helped the homeless in the community that have requested the help or that we've went to and wanted the help. The problem that's left behind is the ones that don't want the help, that are currently very, very pleased with their drug use and their lifestyle. And that is what has become the problem in our city. It's not the ones that need the help, it's the ones that don't want the help. And those are the ones that are committing the crimes, the real crimes that we can do something about. At this time, we'll move on to Community and Development Director report.
I do have one report. We are happy to announce that we have promoted within. We've been working on filling in a pretty vital position Dan previously held. And we're lucky to, we're really blessed in this entire structure that we're able to really shift people around and cross train. And we do have one amazing gal. Her name is Colleen Michael. I'm sure you guys have dealt with her and met her at the front counter numerous times. She's been with the city since 2018 and has really shown a lot of interest in planning, really getting involved with Patricia and really shadowing her. So it's really nice to see that, and we're happy to announce that she is our new assistant planner for the city of Desert Hot Springs.
Wonderful news. Thank you very much, Eric. I appreciate it. Well, with that bit of great news, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.